Welcome, kids, and come back to join me for Inverness Nights. Remember part 1 we did a playthrough where we've discovered that this little Irish boy is immortal, and he's an immortal seamstress, and he has been commissioned by a very strange British woman with peculiar stories to make a dress. And today we shall finish our story and see if we find true love. Or at least, honor our love for mysteries. And then, that's 6 1 half dozen the other, honest to God. So, let's continue, shall we? I work through the night, to the morning, and its questions. She knocks as a courtesy, the doors swing open. Her limbs are loose, and her head is hanging. Again, questionable fashion sense. I don't know if I'm into that, whole rope as a necklace, but you do you, lady. It takes her a moment to string herself into composure. Beautiful. Strange. Thank you. Compliments make these blisters worthwhile. Your fingers weren't calloused before. The details require a smaller needle than my norm. Different stress on my skin. Word, man, I work in a kitchen. I got weird calluses, and depending on what instrument you use, I'd apologize for saddling you with such an odd job, but I figured I'm paying too much for that. A wink. Why tailoring anyway? Not the profession I'd see you in if I saw you on the streets. Due to my size? Yes, you handsome big boy. Most tailors aren't so sturdy, and you just kind of like old ladies when they see those little cute young boys, they're like, oh, start pinching their little muscles. Oh, back in my day. Not in England, no. Half our men have muscle left over from fighting. Again, I can't do. I really would try to do a Scottish accent, but I don't want to be I think my half British is just kind of a little bit atrocious for this girl, but my Scottish is actually the worst, and it's just not good. I would have to. The closest I can get to Scottish is when you pull up Scottish Twitter and you read it the way they type it. That's the closest I'll ever get to Scottish. And boy, howdy, Scottish Twitter is fucking wild. If you have the time, just look up Scottish Twitter. They are a hoot. That's what you did? What? Fighting? Yes. You'll be unsurprised to learn I was fighting for the Jacobites. You're right. I'm unsurprised. She might have been surprised if I had been honest. Mentioned the last war I participated in predated the Jacobean era, though it marched the same paces and places as later conflicts. Again, immortal. Unfortunately, not a vampire. I was a little bummed, but it's fine. Our battles turned proverbially south as favor turned to the literal south. I wanted a safer career. With our economy so unstable, the best line of work was one people would always need. Same girl, so I'm in nutrition. What's up? People always need to eat. No love for sewing? I like it enough. Sewing's not bad, especially if you got some good entertainment while you do it. You learn drafting, draping, and mantua making just because you saw money in it. Girl, you do a lot of things because you saw money into it. That's why sometimes I did cosplay commissions and stuff. Trust me, if there's money in it, you do it. Given how much you've paid, would that be so wrong? As long as it makes you happy. Happy? Discussing my work with so-and-so wealthy is a pointless pursuit. Oh! Snap, snap, snap. Is it? Pleasure is easy to purchase and hard to earn. Stern words.
I'm a stern man.
Dismiss me if you want, but I haven't always had money.
You're scattering solid gold for costumes? It may be a recent education, but I dare say you've learnt about buying happiness.
Ha! Happiness? I'm buying clothes.
That in mind, why do you need this robe?
It's none of your business.
What if I need to know for business purposes?
Tristram?
Shell, I won't push so hard as to be unprofessional, but giving I'm risking my life for you a little more information.
You undersold the importance of your trip.
I'll turn my linings if you turn yours.
Oh. She sweeps towards the corner, her skirts seep underneath the furniture as she passes. Sinking her weight onto one side of the armchair, her attention makes land on my window frame. I don't know who I was before last week. I shudder when I said my name because I don't have a real answer. My shoes are broken, my petticoats unraveling, and plenty of mishap could have brought me here.
You're amnesiac?
Maybe.
Do you have any suspicions?
About who I am? She stands, turns, and walks back to me. Each joint moves with a slight delay, as if she's reviewing the sequences as she cues it. I could be a courtesan, dressed for high-class customers.
Then how did the gold come about?
Overpayment from a client? Underpayment?
Yeah, girl, don't sell yourself short. Always get all that money. Londoners have too much money.
You don't think I'm worth it? Ooh, show her the ankle! Show him the ankle! Oh, look at that little blush.
I don't want to think about that. What other possibilities have you considered?
Maybe I'm just rich.
You'd be quite tan for nobility.
True. Dude, back in the day, the reason why everyone looks fucking pasty as shit is because, like, they blotted, like, colorant on their skin, but also they stayed inside. Perhaps there are reasons in your tailors that you can't open your mouth around women without offending them.
The fashion is to be pale.
The fashion is what you make it. Isn't that the point of your job?
My job is to continue trends, not craft new ones.
Charming. My last idea is that I'm a thief. My favorite option.
Ain't it everyone's, man? If I see another young adult novel about a thief, An interesting preference.
Thievery is exciting. You pick the right pockets, it's justice too.
You want to be Robin Hood?
Someone along those lines.
Taking from the rich, giving to the poor? You're succeeding at that already.
Exactly.
What took your memory then?
What indeed? Yeah, that's a stupid question, Tristram. Come on now. I can tell you I woke on a table. I dressed. I ran. I met with the people who directed me north. They had business in the Highlands and no one to handle it.
You have a lot of leisure time for someone on business.
Do I? Tell me, which potential life would you bank on?
Ha 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 ha. Oh man, tough choices.
Basically, do we call her a hoe? Do we call her a noblewoman? Or do we call her a thief? Thief would be going to her wants. The noblewoman would be the, I would say, middle ground choice, let's be honest, where it's like you're not offensive and you're still like being like a head nod to yes, you're still cool. And then a lady of the night is like, you slut! Slut! I look at you and I see slut. Not to slut shame. Because girl, you gotta make that money. I don't care how you do it, as long as it's consensual and you are safe. All I'm saying. Let's see. I'm going with noblewoman, just because of the tale. Because of the story she's been weaving. What if that's been part of her memories? And while some of her companions were thieves, I don't think they were necessarily stealing from the rich to give to the poor. I think... Yeah, I'm thinking noblewoman, because she doesn't give me the air of, ooh-hoo. Look ye here, how art thou? Glad my complexion didn't rule the option out.
I suppose England dallies with Italy and Spain.
Nah! There was no ill will in what I said.
Oh. There was no ill will in what I said before.
No tact either.
I'm Scottish. Visibly, audibly so. I've been to England, and I didn't have the benefit of money.
She scoffs and covers her face with her hands. Her fingertips rake her hairline. The heels of her palms massage her chin. 2 motions. She takes them down again. I'm sure that was very hard.
You're being insincere.
No, I'm sure it was difficult. And I'm sure you're lacking perspective.
Shell, there are few things worse than being a Scotsman.
Oh, not to worry. If I'm not making sense, it's my own fault. Well, that aside, we've laid out my background. What about yours?
We've discussed my career thoroughly.
Why do you need to run?
How to answer? Perhaps with as much honesty as she used. Someone is threatening to have me arrested.
She tilts her head forward, hair curtaining her features as though she's a priest in a confessional. Do they have a reason? Does Alistair?
By his reckoning, I have committed a crime.
But not by yours.
Are you frightened?
If you wanted to steal my money, you could have left the first night.
My crime was not taking coin.
What was it? Why is it subjective?
Do you consider yourself judgmental or pious?
I don't judge by regular standards or religious wants. Her eyes dart down her body. She clutches her hand over her neckline, fingertips digging into her collarbone. Her fear recedes inwards. I try not to judge. I'm planning to leave town anyway. I have the funds, nothing to lose, trust to gain. Gotta make friends.
He's accusing me of sodomizing him. 1 kiss!
Men sometimes so fragile. 1 kiss. I mean, this is in olden times, though, so... I guess the question isn't whether or not you did it.
Does it bother you?
No.
Be gay! Be gay! Be gay!
I advanced on her to ensure her response wasn't contorted by the distance.
No.
I have no issue with you being that way inclined.
Why not?
Her eyes are still. The moment is remote, her thoughts stuck in her stories some hundreds of years ago. She loosens again, flooding with modern life. Because men are wonderful. Matter of opinion. You're going to show me some trims, weren't you? She pursed for that conversation. To see it abandoned so quickly. Was she repulsed after all? Nah, it's just called being a good person, man. Someone says, I'm gay. They go, that's cool. You go with that? And they go, yeah. And they go, cool. Do you need anything? Let me know. Got someone harassing you? Come help you out. Just chill about it. Although I do like this is like the ye old version of Queer Eye. You know what I'm saying? Girl, I'll just get you redid. Make you look nice. Just you up. Finally got some tattered robes. She throws it in the corner.
I was. Shall I grab them for you?
Please. Over to the cupboard where I kept my sheets of samples. Whenever I buy a new trim, I clip a section off and sew it to a canvas sheet. I fill each sheet with perhaps a dozen trims before starting anew. The links stay coiled in another cupboard. The less I touch them, the better. Avoids them tangling into unscrutable balls of color and clash. I take out 4 sheets and leave the 5th behind. All the trims on it are running too low, too old to purchase new segments of. Pattern trims are skipped these days. Plain trims can be dyed and replicated. Brocade, tulips, and bias-cut tartans are harder to repeat. Word.
Here we are.
Thank you. Picking up the first sheet, she skims a finger over the offerings, moves on to the next. Her face is blank until the 3rd sheet. Her finger settles on a silk ribbon with a repeating teal and green triangle design. Good choice. This should work, wouldn't it?
I have some plain trims that run a similar color. I'll pair them together.
I return to the cupboard to find them. There's an uncertain noise. Does it make you anxious knowing he wants you dead?
You saw the case I packed.
That's a yes. Were you together?
4 years.
Why now?
We had a fight.
I'm sorry.
He was a stubborn, insufferable man. Circumstances conspired. There we were.
No hopes for amends?
He would have visited.
I retrieved a figure-8 quill of lime trim made some months ago for a commissioned frock coat.
I saved his life when he was adamant he no longer wanted it. Sailors who haul anchors above their weight drown with them. The trims matched like I hoped. I'm going to resume my work. Do you want to tell your story?
Grab your tools, we'll get going.
Thank you for understanding.
Thank you for explaining.
Story time! The sun lurched from under the clouds, dimmer than they remembered it. The city of Athens was equally disappointing. Fury trudged through the muddy streets, deflecting most attempts at conversation. I hate coming here. There's more decay over time, he eventually said. With the remaining coin in pocket, they hunted for a haberdasher. If they made dye, sewing it, embellishing it available to Mariana, they could resell the fabric in a less conspicuous forms than the current bolts. The market, the agora, Fury insisted, feigned life. People, traders, just enough activity to call it a crowd. Supplies were easy to find. So was an assembly of gabbling brigands. Fury's focus flicked from dye to dye, and he moved towards them. One stood to warn him away, only to warn him instead, smiling as he saw his face. Porphyros, you haven't aged a day. I'd say the same, but I can't see your face under that beard, Luciano. What a place to meet. I'm returning to Inverness in a few months. Mariana had stalled at the mouth of the alley, with Fury disappearing down the throat, slapping backwards and whooping at bad rolls. She was wary of intruding. Sinbad sidled over to her and settled a hand on her arm. He usually finds some person or another. Best practice is to let him be. Curling his fingers into his sleeve, he gave a tug. I'd prefer to be somewhere calmer. Leaving the heart of the city for one of its blue-tinged arteries, the pair found a quiet patch of grass. The ground was damp, but with so many layers of clothing, it didn't bother them. Small walls of chipped marble surrounded their resting place. This was more to Mariana's liking. She breathed sharply. Is something wrong? Sinbad asked. There are some questions I want to ask Fury. I don't think he'd answer them. Sinbad smiled and leaned back against one of the walls. He closed his eyes and folded his arms, forming a comfortable cocoon. I'll explain as best as I can. She breathed slow. Ah, look, they're all cute. Look how cute they are, looking so nice in their clothes. I do love these patterns. Why take me with you? I know, I asked. Why go along with it? Fury isn't picky. It's more interesting to say yes. Sole time he's denied passage was a Roman friend prone to mutiny. Why wasn't he worried about you until 2 days ago after you went overboard? Believe it or not, I won't be offended if you choose not. Fury and I aren't normal people. Theft and adventuring aside, we're immortals. Of a sort. Oh, secret time spilled the goods. Witches? Oh, nothing that bad. I couldn't explain to you why we are how we are, but we are, so we try to make it interesting. Of course, his idea of interesting involves more heists than mine. Do you dislike his extravagance? Oh, no. It's what I love most, and he needs someone to temper it for practicality. I do that. I handle the rigging, I keep the books balanced, the maps dry. We sail happily. Was breaking into my work your idea, or his? Mine initially. I thought it'd be profitable. We were close to broke. Constantinople, all those trading restrictions. I didn't expect anyone to be there. Her questions continued on until she was interrogating Sinarabad about the country. Blah, 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 blah. Her questions continued on until she was. Blah, blah. Her questions continued on until she was interrogating Sinbad about the countries he'd seen and the other immortals he had met. A Maghrebi pirate who had committed her life to the accumulation of coin and succeeded such that she could buy out minor nations where she was interested in spending it. You girl! Buy your own country. A Syrian historian convinced he had held divine right to rule the world. An Azerbaijani bureaucrat convinced he needed paperwork to prove it. A Moroccan adventurer on a quest to see every great ancient building, his charcoal artist sister sketching each expedition. A whole pantheon of characters set to live forever. Brianna's eyes grew wider with each story until she asked, If you're going to live forever, why waste effort on fabric? Fury agreed to take it because it was valuable. I asked to take it because, at the onset of everything, I was a silk trader, as were my father, my grandfather, and so on. Fabric is constant. I started with it, I discovered my immortality, and now I have to keep working with it to make sure I don't go mad with homesickness. Why not return to Persia? It's nostalgic for a time rather than love for a place, especially with my faith and my trade absent from its current cultural climate. No, I'll keep doing this until the day I die, maybe even after. When I'm dead, I want fear to take my body to where the vultures are. Lying in the heat, flesh bitten apart or burnt hard, until finally there's nothing to me but blood and bones and a leather bag of skin. That's when I'll set this work behind me. I thought you were immortal. I said sort of. We've had friends who've died from wounds or starvation or drowning. We don't get sick or old, but we certainly die. In all the least pleasant ways. You have an exit. Precisely. And what we lack in resistance to wounds and asphyxiation we make up for in other ways. Most of us, at least. Oh? I have no clue if he's mentioned it, but Fury is able to heal bleeding and broken bones. It's quite fun to watch. He waves his hands, and they're as good as new. Our friends can do other party tricks. The Azerbaijani can freeze things at his touch, and the Moroccan duo can control flames. Oh, dude, that's rad. So they get immortality and, like, a special skill. Looks like some fun D&D party.
Huh, I want to be immortal, except I can freeze shit. Yeah, it's freezing Ray. What about you?
Can't do anything yet. Some figure it out, some don't. I'm not fussed. He stood, grass stains on his coat and trousers. Very could only have so many things to say to his countrymen. Very could only have so many things to say to his countrymen, and they could only tolerate him for so long. Mariana took the hint and eased to her feet. She walked alongside Sinbad, her features softer than usual. Granted, this was the same step in hardness as sapphire to topaz. It's still fucking hard. Oh, that reminds me of the anime, the other gym one. I'm not talking Steven Universe. I'm talking Hosheki no Kuni. Hosheki no Kuni. Check that out. That's some good anime. Her lips fished open and shut with a question, formed and discarded. Sinbad's expression was a mix of frustration and contemplation. He held his hands at his chest height and peered into them. He wasn't a palm reader. Attempts at finding the future in them were futile. Fury was in the alley where they left him. At his side, a bolt of silk. The silk they had intended to leave on the ship. Why is that here? He winked past her to Sinbad. To the spirit of the camaraderie of begging for forgiveness when asking for permission from a 6-foot woman is too daunting. The dice left his hand and toppled across the pavestones. Another bad throw, Fury. Best to get a second length of that silk. Mariana's face blanched whiter than a diamond. She grabbed Fury by the neck of his overshirt and hauled him to his feet. We're leaving. No, Beard Brigand replied, getting up from his seat. Porteous has his throw. It's gone bad. Sinbad and I didn't agree to this. Mariana continued her stride. Porteous did. If you think we care what you agree to, well... Beard beckoned to his cohorts. They rose, leaving 2 seated with the prizes and the dice. Snake eyes. Sinbad read the pair of dutes. Read the blade Beard was close to brandishing, and snatched Mariana's hand. The trio launched to the bustle of the crowd, Beard and company shortly behind them. Within moments, shoppers filled the gap between the 2 parties, buying Mariana, Fury, and Sinbad time to step up their sprint. It didn't take long for the human obstacle course to dissipate. When it did, the brigands were no longer visible. The stones alternated to mud and back with every meter they moved from the city market. They would have to watch their footing. The trio pulled a tight corner, weaving through run-down alleys. How far to port? How far to port? Mariana had hitched up her skirts to a sprint. Her footsteps were solid and certain. If we keep this pace, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Have we lost him? We can slow down if you want. Fury's toes caught in his billowing trousers. He stumbled and regained his balance. I can't see them anymore, so the tip of Sinbad's shoe dug into the mud. His other foot, unable to balance, slid out behind him. He flopped forward like a puppet with strings cut. Mud oozed into the crevices of his face. He writhed, caught between the twin urges to panic and to stand. Mariana bent and offered her arm as a climbing tool. Sinbad accepted. Stabilizing, he pulled off his shoes and threw them over his shoulders. Twice is enough. The sprint picked back up again. 20 minutes, as per Fury's guess, uneventful. No further mistakes from Sinbad, no intrusions from the bearded band. Still, arriving at Piraeus, they wasted no time weighing anchor and setting for sea. Some towns died honorable deaths, others became gulls. Athens had clung to life too long. Fury would advocate running, one way or another. Hours later, as the afternoon sky shuffled its curtains nearer together, a cluster of soldiers entered Athens. It seemed an innocuous thing to ask men of the law for their help. It seemed an innocuous thing to ask men of the law for help enforcing it. Beard crept up to one of the visiting soldiers, a slight one in red and blue. He waved a shoe in his face to get his attention. You see any Parisians running barefoot? Owes me a debt. Got a Venetian and some lady with him.
Aquila caught the shoe from the bearded hand and crushed in his grip. The Parisians alive. Bad. They've been here. Good.
You were chasing them? Yes. How long ago?
About noon.
Where to?
Out of town, suppose. Port, maybe.
They'll be back on the water looking for rest. I'll find them. I can't promise their cargo, but I can promise retribution. Beard nodded, spine prickling. This was more than forcing Fury to honor his monetary dues. Thank you for your information, Salem. I suppose I'll be headed offshore again. Aquila tilted his head to side, the bones in his neck crunching. Crack, crack. Offshore, yes. Offshore to Salamis Island. Shell?
Yes.
You say the story explains how you got the silk. I suppose it's factual. Is everything about Porphyrius true as well?
You're listening.
Can I have an answer?
It's real. His hands would glow pink. Any damaged skin beneath them would weave together. Actually, I have a confession.
I thought you were excited to discuss the story.
We need to discuss me now. You ask why I'm so set on telling this tale? It's because I think you have the same skills as Fury. Ha! She got you, fool. She got you good. 700 years, and I've only told one person. Finally, someone caught me independently. I was afraid this moment would arise from a witch hunt. I was afraid I'd need to deny it. Instead, I lift my hands to hers. A white light fills the space between them. A pallor I've never considered eases from the surface of her skin. A waxy film lifts from her eyes. She chokes and lurches away. Her fingers curl into her necklace, slide to her chest, press against the spaces of her breasts. Wait for a beat. She holds her palms in front of her. I'd only intended her to show the glow. You're real. He was right.
How did you find out?
After Culloden, a noble met a tailor at the crossroad, sat beside a pile of barleys. The tailor required help retrieving one. It had soapy skin and a face full of maggots, but the tailor repelled it. He went his way, and so did the noble. The noble told his family the story. They told their friends. Somebody told me.
Why play coy?
I imagine someone walking in from the street asking if you're a witch.
Why do you care? You're young, you're healthy.
Am I?
Give me a real answer.
I've gotten ahead of myself. I have to go. Keep working. I'll be back here tomorrow. She slams the door. Her feet tap the steps. The street swallows them. Into my armchair I topple. It would be easier if the holes we open in each other's claims leaked, like Sinbad's, Porphyrius's, like a boat to the bottom of the ocean. Aquila advances consistently enough that the trio, like a boat at the bottom of the ocean. Aquila advances consistently enough that the trio are doomed to confrontation with higher powers never in clean. Am I alone? Shell said Sinbad said there were others. Claims twice removed. What if I was wasting time in this country, on this island, far from the world? Should I have gone offshore? Too late. Sorry for the outburst yesterday. The sleeves look superb. Oh, they do look nice.
Yes.
One free chair in the room. She takes it. Skirts filling the excess space between the arms. Her eyes are waxy again. I'm ready to give some answers. The bodice falls from my grasp to the desk. Wow. The
The bodice falls from my grasp to the desk. The needle ticks against the wood as it rolls from its corresponding stitches. Sinbad mentioned others. I'm here on their behalf. No better options? I volunteered. They must have realized it'd be a hard sell for someone of your sort. Which sort? Hard for me as a woman? That's a good point. As a foreigner, that'd be an issue for anyone. You're the only immortal from Scotland. Berbers, Aborigines, Parisians, plenty of options. None we could predict a Jacobite sympathizer agreeing to talk to. I have no opinion on most of those states. We didn't know that, and I was the most interested. Why? Time may tell. Secrecy shouldn't be necessary. The cards held close to my chest have been played. The cards held close to hers have, I assume, been shoved down her stays. AKA she ain't telling you shit. I should have told Alistair more. This stalemate is impossibly frustrating. I lift the bodice in one hand and the errant needle in the other. Maneuvering through the thread, tie it around, knot it. Bite it free. Try it on. I haven't altered the fit. This is just for the decorations. Oh, that's cute. My plan is to swap that orange trim, finish the beadwork, and add extra embroidery to the bodice. And that'll be the end of it. I suppose... too late. I suppose so. I read you 3 more days. That may sound like a large estimate, but the embroidery... Takes a while. Good leeway for my story. We're halfway through. We are indeed. I'm ready to share the next installment. Continue then. Right, onward, in the same fashion. Oh, yeah! Oh, they got you good. They're like, you want to know more about the immortals? You want to know how the story ends? Too bad. You want to know whether or not the love of his... Well, I wouldn't say the love of his life, but the 4-year love to Alistair continues. Whether his secret shall be discovered. Will he be burnt at the torch? Maybe. What is going on with Shell? So many questions, not enough answers, but you'll find them in the game. So go get it. Go get that full game. I'm excited for it. I'm probably going to give it a play myself next time the paycheck comes in, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, thanks for enjoying us. I hope you guys enjoyed Inverness Nights. I do love a good little story. If you guys have any ideas for another visual novel that you would like to hear narrated by yours truly, hopefully, I am working on my voice repertoire. I do swear. I need to work on my dude voices, honest to God. But that's neither here nor there. And I need to work on some of my accents, because as much as I think you're like this lightly British, maybe European accent is not for everyone. Let me know. Throw down some comments. And until next time, kids, ciao.